Well, it's often said that if you mimic somebody, it's a compliment. Well, I don't know if that's what this shellbark hickory had in mind, but this particular tree can mimic almost identically the bark of a shagbark hickory. And I've introduced the shagbark hickory, and it is common in many habitats. It is found in well-drained soils that can sometimes be dry, but not extremely dry. It can be found in places like we're in today, which is a swamp forest. This land is wet for many months of the year. This is 2019, and it was wet up until a few weeks ago. I couldn't even get back here without wearing mud shoes. So this is the Gully Park in Warren County, Ohio. And I have found a plant which is much more common in wet soils and on river valleys, the shellbark hickory. The bark can be identical to the shagbark, but often it doesn't shag as much as the shagbark. But this one has. It's got a flake here, 16, 18 inches long. So I will continue with identifying this in the wintertime by other methods, because in the summer, the leaves will make it easy to tell the difference. The leaf on the bottom here is the shellbark hickory leaf. And I got it off of this tree, and it's quite large. The leaflets are between 3 and 8 inches long, and the closer you get to the sun and the more sun a tree gets, the bigger the leaflets get. So the guidebook says it has bigger leaflets than the shagbark, but I can tell you right now, I just pulled this off another tree, and those leaflets are just as big, and that's a shagbark leaflet. So that would tell the difference between this and this shellbark hickory. In the summertime, the nuts are slightly different too. I don't have a shellbark nut here to compare with, but I can continue with that as well when I do find them and this tree starts dropping fruit. So here's a shellbark hickory growing in a very wet habitat. There's even jewelweed growing right next to it here, so this area stays wet. And you would not find this in a lot of the places where shagbark does grow. And just for comparison, I got another shellbark across the trail here. Just to tell you how wet this area is here, just a little side here. We got some stinging nettle growing back here, and jewelweed right there. So that means this area has wet, and these plants have wet feet. There's also some sensitive fern growing back here. Again, those 3 plants alone tell you wet feet for much of the year. And we've gone a few weeks without extremely heavy rain, and it's starting to get so you can walk back here, but still this soil is quite moist. Now here's another shellbark hickory right here. And it hasn't flaked as much. It's got a few flakes above there, but not nearly as much. And this bark looks more like the color and texture of other hickories found in this area. The area covered by this channel has 5 native hickories. This is the second that I'm working on. And without distinctive features like the shaggy bark or the shelly bark on this tree, they can be a little tough to tell apart. So we'll just keep pecking away at it. But here again, we got 7 leaflets on these leaves that I am seeing from below. And this one does not have as much shag in the bark as the other example, but it can. So we got to, work on, attack this identification from several different directions.